Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show on AFTERBUZZ TV. I am your host, Fern Ronay, and I'm joined today by the handsome
Grant Rutter. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here watching you host your first show.
Thank you. This is my first hosting experience, so I'm glad you're here to hold my hand.
Oh, you'll be great. I don't doubt it.
Thank you. My first time. So the episode is... We're at season 5, episode 4, Livin La Vida Housewife. Cue the music. So this episode seemed like a little bit of filler, but it was fun to watch them all.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch this episode. It started off with Kim having Kyle over to her house to check out her mother of the bride dress and to check out her, the dress she's going to wear to the rehearsal dinner. But everyone in Kim's house was sick, including Kim, and Kyle was not pleased about this. But it was cute to see the sisters together again.
Yeah, and Kim is always a mess as usual. Even when it looks like her life is together and her daughter's getting married and she's got this beautiful dress, which is the quintessential mother of the bride modern era dress.
It was.
But of course she's sick and like no one wants, Kyle doesn't want to be near her. Typical.
It was typical Kim. And if she were my mom, like she had Brooke's wedding dress with her, and if Kim were my mom, I'd be like, I don't want her in charge of my wedding dress. Like my dad smoked cigars, and when I got married, we lived in Chicago, we were getting married in New Jersey, and I didn't want my wedding dress in my parents' house because I didn't want it to smell.
Yeah.
So my aunt kept it in her house for several weeks, and she was terrified. That's, a big responsibility. She was terrified. She's like, if the house goes on fire, that's the first thing I'm grabbing. But it's a big responsibility. So Kim, in all her Kim glory, I was like, I would not want her in charge of my wedding dress if I were Brooke.
And Kim's dress was just thrown across the table.
Right. It was like, strewn. But
that dress was quite expensive. It sold for $9,600.
That's pretty pricey.
Yeah, you think? I mean, I've never been on a wedding dress shopping. I assume what does that fall?
Yeah, that's pretty expensive, and
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. But I've heard of dresses a little bit more than that, and I've heard of dresses a lot cheaper than that. So it's kind of on the high end. But I wouldn't, for their circle, I think it's pretty reasonable. Yeah, and it was a beautiful dress, and she's a beautiful girl, so it'll be pretty.
Yeah, no, she looked great in it last week. If that was the same dress, I assume so. Yeah.
Which somebody pointed out that I think that was the designer, Mark. I forgot his name now. That was present there when Kathy was insulting all the dresses.
You're right, yes.
So anyway, that was all we saw of Kim this episode, and we didn't see much of Eileen either, but we got a little bit more of Eileen. We saw her with her husband, who's former teen idol Vince Van Patten. What do you think of him?
He seems like a cool guy. They seem like a really chill couple, like a Malibu couple to me. People with a lot of money, you can tell. I just feel like they're doing a very poor job introducing her and integrating her into this show. I mean, watching her play, badminton or whatever she was doing with her husband, it's like they're not integrating her.
No.
They should have brought her along on one of those trips.
Right, exactly.
Or she should go to Palm Springs with the little two Lisa's. I mean, they need to do something with her.
That's a good point, because I can tell she has a strong personality and she'll be fun to watch. But watching her, barbecue with her family is not the most exciting thing.
Right.
And I think, she said she bickers with her husband. Oh, that's normal. Well, we want to see more of it. Get into it.
Right. I mean, her kids are all really good looking.
They were adorable.
Yeah.
They were cuties.
I just don't know, why they introduced her so soon. I feel like there's definitely something missing there.
Yeah.
We need to see more of her actually, getting involved, getting in the picture. She really should go to that trip.
Exactly. I want more Eileen meet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was such a hyped thing, and she's been in the opening now for the past 4 episodes.
Yeah, it's episode 4.
So, yeah.
Let's see your talking about somebody or fighting with somebody.
Yeah, I want to see her on the set of the soaps.
Yeah,
especially
that would be great.
Yeah, that's interesting to many viewers, whether they follow the soap operas or not. I mean, to see someone on the set of a real show, and she's such a star, you know, they really have to play that up more, especially in the daytime world. Eileen Davidson is a big name. She's been around forever. Her characters are known. I mean, nobody right now in daytime TV is on 2 soaps, so that's something they could really play up, and we haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping it's coming.
I hope it's coming too. I want to know how she prepares. Does she practice her lines with her husband? I want to see her working. Yeah, that's interesting. So then the bulk of the episode was more of the Lisas and Kyle and Yolanda, which we'll get to them. But we see the Lisas meet for lunch, and we see Lisa Vanderpump make the bold statement that she's never talked blank about anyone. What did you think of that?
Well, I mean, she's quick to say that she only in jest, you know, only as a joke. It's very easy for me to talk about someone and just kind of be like, oh, I'm kidding. Because I feel like, I'm always like kind of half kidding with stuff that they say, but there's always truth to it. So, I mean, it's a statement, like I said, mentioned last week, kind of like delegitimizes her argument for being this pious woman. Right. You know, I mean, it kind of like she's trying to redeem herself, so she really shouldn't make general statements like that. But, I mean, I love the 2 Lisas together. It's great to see these women have fun on this show, especially last season. It was so much backbiting and anger. It was just a lot of angry women. That's so true. And these 2, and this season it's much lighter and it's a lot more fun. Yeah, I love Lisa. Lisa Rinna. I think she's so like classy in her own way. I love her. I love her look. A lot of people get bothered by her lips and the look of plastic surgery, but I think I'm gonna go on her. I think she's really pretty. I think the way she presents herself, her showing body up with those Ray-Bans, the hair was on point. You know, I like the look of the lips. I do. I'm definitely like a card-carrying Lisa Rinna fan. I always have been. It's not, the show hasn't changed my opinion of her. Well, I didn't know what to think of her. I didn't know what to think of her. I never watched any of the soaps, so I had no. I kind of didn't. I think my impression was a little more negative before, and now I'm a big Lisa Rinna fan because I think she's adorable. She's adorable looking, adorable family, adorable personality, great body. I can't believe she's in her 50s. Yeah, and I also really like her because I don't think the show is going to change her. Right. So she's so secure with herself. She's not there to try to, like I mentioned last week too, she's not there to try to like get a book deal. And like, I mean, she's done so much. Right. Maybe she will do that, but it's not something that she's trying to like, you know, start up. She's been doing it. Exactly. She's already established. What did you think when they were shopping? That was cute. I love how honest Lisa Vanderpump is. Yeah, I know. Like, it was good to see them have fun. I don't know what they're going to wear at 110 degrees in the desert. No. But. Yeah, so Lisa was getting a star on the Walk of Stars in Palm Springs. That's exciting. I've never heard of that. Have you? I have. When I heard over the summer that she was getting that, I was kind of like, really? Why? Why is she had businesses in Palm Springs? I'm sorry? Has she had businesses in Palm Springs? I read something recently that she was on a float in Palm Springs. That was recent. I read it in the Daily Mail, which is something separate. And I read that she had businesses, but it didn't indicate exactly which restaurants, which businesses, but they must love her in Palm Springs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Walk of Stars is a testament to people's work in the gay community. I know that she's done a lot for that, and she's also appeared on floats the last few years in the West Hollywood, LA Pride Parade here. Right. So maybe that's why she's being recognized for something she did over there, but I just feel like if she's being recognized for just being a reality star, I don't know if it's necessary. But I mean, you know, all the power to her. She's got a star, I don't, so, you know, good for her. God bless Lisa. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know, is it necessary? Right. I don't know. But I'm on team Lisa. I'm a Vanderpumpy, so. Right. I'm glad for her. But even I, as a Vanderpumpy, thought it was a little nuts seeing her and Ken ordering Jiggy's outfits. So I guess Jiggy gets his outfits custom made by Yana. Was that her name? Yeah, Yana with the pink hair. She looked like a real freak. She did. She looks like someone who custom makes dogs' clothing. Yeah. That was a little weird. That's a business, one of the few that could only really exist in Beverly Hills. Sure, Beverly Hills. Yeah, that was interesting. So moving on to the real crux of the episode, the two who had the most interesting scenes, Kyle and Yolanda. So Kyle's doing a lot more
high-end activities lately. We saw her flying on a private plane last week. She's floating around on a yacht in the Mediterranean this week. Good for them.
Yeah,
I'm happy for them.
It's all we see
obvious.
her do, though.
Right.
I mean, the last 4 episodes, it's been how wonderful her life is, her marriage, her daughters, her travel itinerary, and then not trying to raise spoiled children. I mean, I just feel like, okay, Kyle, what else you got for us?
Yeah.
I know that there are a lot of people out there who are just tired of Kyle and find her boring. And in this episode, in this case, while it is beautiful to see these locations, I definitely am feeling pretty tired of watching her kind of show us her lifestyle, which is great and good for her. But, okay, we've seen it. We know where you live. You can get, the husband likes to fly private. No one's more impressed than Mauricio.
Yeah.
He's so into this lifestyle. He just thinks it's amazing. Champagne O'Clock, the name of the boat. That was a little much for me.
I think, was that the name of the boat? Or there he was hosting, he said, I love it.
That was the name of the boat.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if I go on a yacht called Champagne O'Clock.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope the person driving the boat's not having any of the champagne. I don't know, it's a little...
Yeah, it did look nice. Of course, Kyle couldn't tell us how the square footage was, but it was just amazing. And yeah, I mean, it really did look nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It looked beautiful. You could send me on that yacht at any time, but to be interested in someone and their character, you need some conflict, and I'm not sure what her conflict is going to be this season. It's usually with Kim, and they seem to have a good relationship now, so I wonder what her storyline will be. Yeah, it just seemed like the height of being pretentious when she didn't want to jump off the yacht into the water, and it was like, oh, come on. Like, she was acting like she was so scared at the end of the world. There are people out there with real problems. It's like, come on, just have fun. She's like, you're ruining my vacation. Yeah, kind of thing. Like, I'm so scared to do this. But maybe she is a scaredy cat because Yolanda seems to have such an adventurous spirit, and she saw people paragliding, I think it was, and Kyle's like, that looks scary. So maybe it's just her personality. She's not very adventurous, and Yolanda is. But yeah, she was a little melodramatic about that. It seems like Yolanda's done it all. Yeah. She has an experience with everything. If not, she knows her husband has. Like, she's just like totally all over the place. I think I like Yolanda. I liked her more in this episode. Yeah. It was good to see her kind of just be in her element. I would love for her to show me around. Yeah, she seems to know everything. And Mallorca looked beautiful. I would like that. I've never been to Spain, have you? No. We learned that Sophia was in the south of France with a friend of hers at 14 years old, and then she met up with Kyle and family for the second leg of her trip in Spain. So at 14 years old, would your parents let you go to France? Oh, no, they wouldn't let me go now. I don't think I'd be able to go to Canada. Italian mom. I don't think I'd be able to go to Canada tonight. Yeah, no, I mean, my mother worries all the time. Yeah. My girl always just like, just be careful on the roads tonight. I'm like, I know. So it's like, and I'm in the country. I'm in LA, a city that I'm fairly comfortable with now. But yeah, no, to be able to go, like, I know someone recently that went backpacking and couch surfing, and they went to Austria and Italy, and I was just like, wow, that's an amazing thing. But I know, like, I couldn't do that because my mother would just lose it. I could never do it by myself. Yeah, I could never do it. And you wouldn't be able to do it to her, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's just like, you know, at 14, no way. No. But I mean, have the pretty Italian parents, but at 14, I went to Italy on a school trip. But I guess that's different. It was on a school trip. But I think if I had a friend that invited me to France and my parents knew the parents, I think they might have let me go, but we didn't know anybody that rich, and we still don't. Right. So I don't have to worry about that. Yeah, but I mean, good for her. She's really living. Those are memories she'll have forever, and she's starting at a young age. So good for her. Those people definitely live on a different... They do live on a different plane. Yeah. They do. But they seem like they have good kids. And I always thought Yolanda had good kids. Until this episode. What are you saying? I like Yolanda's philosophy about things, and I love listening to her talk. It was so cute how she called the tubes the bagels. Yeah. We were both like, did she just say bagel? That was cute. And her philosophy about things, I think and she lives such a healthy lifestyle, and I like hearing her talk about her, theories on life. But it was so ironic this episode because she said to Kyle, you send your kids off into the world, and then you just have to kind of see what happens and see how they handle the freedom. And then this episode, she gets a call that Bella gets a DUI. Yeah. And I thought, did you think it was her mom too? I did. They were pointing it more towards the mother and the mother's sickness and the time that she has. But I thought the whole
scenario overarching the last 2 episodes surrounding her daughter was really well produced in a way, because we finally get to be in this season. We were introduced to Bella. We got a kind of an update. We heard a lot about the girl, and then of course now this playing out. So she they kind of put us back on our radar. They made us forget.
Yes, that's
introducing
true.
the mother, and now it was well produced.
That's true. That's a good point. Because last episode that she was kind of saying Bella's different than her and Gigi, so it was kind of like a setup almost.
Yeah.
To see how different she is. Yeah, and it's such a shame. These, her dad is Muhammad. If your dad's Muhammad, don't get in the car. Don't go anywhere, even if you're not drunk. Have someone drive you around.
Yeah, believe me, in this city, if I could, I would.
I mean, really?
Yeah, I don't feel like driving home from here. You know,
Not at all,
if I could have a
exactly.
service. I mean, even if she doesn't want to have a service, she's got plenty of money on her credit card. She can just call an Uber.
Exactly. There's no point in putting someone else's life at risk. I mean, when I was young and we would go out in Hoboken, we had my friend's little brother pick us up at 2 a.m. at the bars. You do what you can because you don't want to be irresponsible. And if your dad's Muhammad, just take a car even when you're sober.
Right. No, I did not read about that when it occurred. I didn't read that in the press that her daughter got a DUI. I'm sure it was out there quite a bit, but that was not on my radar. I was really surprised.
Yeah, it wasn't as well publicized. So who knows? Maybe
if it was her other daughter, it would be everywhere.
Yeah, because she's she's the face of all these brands right now. So yeah. So and it was sad to see Yolanda talking about her mom, that she made some good points about how life is short and pointing out that her dad passed when she was 7, ironically from a car accident. So I think the DUI hits a little harder. But it was interesting seeing her, those short snippets with her mom. Do you think that was home video or were they there?
Well, there was a camera crew with her because there were video of in the sailboat. There's video of her in the sailboat, and then those images as well. There had because I noticed the shot where she was walking down the sailboat in a red bikini. That was professionally shot. Okay. That wasn't like a home video. Okay. So they kind of removed the color to make it look like a flashback. But yeah, no, that was professionally shot. So I think they had a crew on them with them on that sailboat, which is strange because we didn't use any of that. But then with the mother, I can't imagine though why her mother would be okay with having a camera crew in her bedroom when she's so ill.
So ill, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine anyone in my family being okay with that.
No, yeah. Maybe she doesn't realize how sick she is, and she's just like, this is my daughter's life. I don't know. But, it's sad either way. And it was sad seeing her, get choked up about her mom.
And it's sad to be so far away. She's spending 2 weeks with her mother, and I don't know, maybe she should be there more, I mean, when there's a certain point, it's like there's only so much time, maybe, that you
I wonder
really
if she was making it sound like it was worse than it is. Because if it was that bad, maybe she would have been there.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe they're just making it sound worse than it is for purposes of the show. And the bright light of the episode, the comic relief, as always, is Brandy. Right. We saw her talking about her podcast on Podcast One called Brandy Clan Unfiltered, and she pointed out there's an E for explicit, although it's not always explicit, she says. You've listened to the podcast, right?
I listened to it when it first came out. I was curious. It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've read a lot about it. I've read some of the crazier things she said.
Right. I mean, there's definitely a shock value when it comes to Brandy, and so it's like if you love that, that's like your world for like an hour and a half. It could be an hour and 15 minutes, and she had like different guests on too, and it's definitely like that same type of humor, that same type of mindset. Yeah. Like if you're like pro Brandy, like you'll love that, because it's very much like being in her head.
Right.
So yeah, they mentioned that they were having trouble like getting advertisers who wanted to come on to the show,
right?
Basically and support it because she's so outrageous,
right? So
but she doesn't think she is.
She doesn't think she is because she says things. She says things like, I've read that there was one episode where she mentioned that her sister had gotten touched inappropriately by and I'm not laughing about it, but I'm laughing because Brandy's so crazy that her sister was touched inappropriately by a high school principal, and she was insulted at the time that she was not touched inappropriately. She was like, what's wrong with me? So you can picture Brandy making a joke about that, but then you can also picture the news media stating that Brandy's making, making inappropriate jokes and joking about child molestation. And so she's a hard one to sell for advertisers, for sure.
Right, right.
So I could see why they might be wanting her to be a little more family friendly. I don't know if she'll be able to, but we saw in the preview she might try. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
I like the car that she got.
Yes, and I was happy for her. The unexpected 6-figure check from your first book. Pretty nice. Good for her.
Yeah, I mean, that's like finding $20 in a pocket with an old coat.
Yeah, I'll take
except
that.
for this one's 6 figures unexpected.
Right, good for her. And I know nothing about cars, but you noticed it's a Range Rover?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so a white Range Rover.
I think it was actually like a Land Rover.
Okay.
But I mean, it was one of the more expensive ones,
yeah.
so it definitely was worth a lot. And that's, of course, in this city, a very much a status symbol.
Right.
So she was all too excited to get behind that. But it was a beautiful car.
Right.
I would love to have a car like that.
Yeah, I would too. Pretty nice.
She said, "Is this like plastic? Is this custom?" Like, I don't know what type of interior it was. They didn't get that far, but apparently it's like one of the more really nice custom
good
luxury
Good for
cars.
her. I was happy for her because I felt for her, even though I'm not the biggest Brandy fan, I felt for her in previous episodes, dealing with Eddie and talking about just money troubles. And she said in this episode, I don't want to depend on a man. I want to buy a house. I want to set myself and my kids up to be stable, and it's really admirable. So I was thrilled for her, and then I got a little nervous. I was like, hope he's not blowing the whole check on a car. Like, come on, be smart. But hopefully it was a big 6-figure check, and hopefully the car wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't the whole chunk of it.
She still strikes me as someone who's like 28 and like trying to make it work in LA. She still strikes me as like this really young chick. The way she like skips around. When the car got there, she was like in these little mini shorts, hair in a messy bun, just like, oh, it's here. Like, you can imagine, like, she has sons that are
going to middle school. Yeah.
So she is just like, good for her. She looks good. She's young at heart. She's got the energy. She's got the personality. Whether you love her or hate her, I mean, she's someone that is, very polarizing and can dominate, a situation. But she's a youthful chick, so
she
good for
sure
her.
Is. She sure is.
She's, I mean, and really, even with the additions on the show, I'm not knocking anyone's age, but she's definitely like a young energy. Yeah. She's still kind of like that, fits that bill of the young energy chick on the show.
Yeah,
so.
she definitely, she fills that role. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a lot of fun to watch. She's, her mouth gets her in trouble, which makes her so much fun to watch.
I have a question for you. When these housewives go away, does it kind of make you wish that they would all be back in LA? Because I feel like kind of like by having everyone so separated, it would kind of like just disjointed the show.
The episode. Yeah, it'll be, it's definitely so much more drama and so much more fun and so much more to talk about when they're all together at a party talking behind each other's backs. Yeah. But when they're all, away doing less, dramatic things, even though seeing Mallorca was beautiful, it does make it less, there's less conflict and there's less to talk about and there's less to analyze.
I mean, even when they go away all together, of course they always show like kind of like their trip, and it's cool to see, and they have great visuals. They're always well produced trips, whatever franchise you should be watching, unless if like in New Jersey you went to like Atlantic City. I mean, I'm not saying that isn't beautiful, but it isn't.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know. I just kind of like think like I like when they're based in the location like Beverly Hills, New Jersey, Atlanta. Like I like that. I don't know. To me, it's kind of like takes me out of it.
They went to. Didn't they go to? They went to Bali, I think.
Bali, yeah.
Yeah, I like seeing them. If they go away all together, I do like seeing it because I feel like something always happens and it's fun to see them outside their element. So I do like it when they go away, but this episode when they're away on their own separate things, it made it less less cohesive. It was a little weird.
Yeah, I just kind of like want to see them all get together. I love like ensemble scenes and like big parties like you mentioned. So that to me is like what I think of when I think of the Housewives. So it was like, I don't know, it's kind of like, I don't want to say boring, but it was like, okay, let's get everyone together, let's get this started. We're 4
let's get the party started.
Yeah, let's get this going because, we just kind of wrapped everything up from the previous season. Mm-hmm. So like, okay, now we're 4 episodes in, we've seen Eileen like, make dinner, like let's go.
Exactly. Yeah, we need them to get together and get into some fights.
Right.
So should we move on to news and gossip?
Let's do it.
Is there music for news and gossip? I'm new at this. Okay.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
We got you.
I knew it. All right, news and gossip. I heard that Brandy, several news sources are reporting that Brandy, and she put it on Twitter, her boyfriend broke up with her over email. Isn't that awful?
Oh,
it's a horrible way. Well, we don't know who he is because she's never mentioned him, and someone even suggested that this might be a publicity thing because if she had a serious boyfriend, she would have been photographed with him out. We would have figured out who he is by now. But apparently she was dating someone and she told him in email that her kids are her number one priority and they always will be, and that was the reason he gave for breaking up with her.
Yeah, but I mean, who communicates personal information in email anymore? I mean, at all. I don't get it. That's true.
That is kind of antiquated if you think about it. Like today, you would think she was broken up with by text.
At least, yeah. I mean, or Snapchat or a Kik or something. I mean, it's like, you're going to go to draft an email. I don't know. I just think it's like weird. Maybe the guy was an older gentleman.
Oh, maybe. Or maybe it was a long Dear John kind of letter saying, this is why I can't be with you. I don't know.
I'm not for any of that. I think you got to sit face to face.
Yeah, totally.
If there's something that you really need to communicate and it's about a relationship, you need to be speaking face to face.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many ways to communicate. Come on, they could even friggin' FaceTime.
Exactly. So I felt sorry for her.
Well, I feel good for her because if that's the type of guy
that's
that
true.
you're going to be in a relationship with,
true.
Delete your email account and move on.
Move on. Keep fishing. Throw that one back.
Yeah.
He's no good. That's a good point. In other news and gossip, Lisa Rinna, as we learned last week, told that wonderful story about how Harry Hamlin's ex-wife, Nicolette Sheridan, well, he wasn't the ex-wife at the time, her wife at the time, left him for Michael Bolton, and years later, Lisa saw Michael Bolton and said thank you, because if it weren't for him and Nicolette Sheridan, she would have never married Harry Hamlin and this wonderful family and been so happily married. So it reminded me of a blog post I wrote last year, and I just reissued it saying, this is my thank you Michael Bolton moment, was that I wanted to go to Fordham Law School. My application got lost in the mail. I ended up going to Boston College Law School. That's where I met one of my best friends, Christine. Years later, I'm at Christine's coworker's birthday party, and standing at the bar is this bald, Jewish, adorable kid guy and who is now my husband. So wow. I say thank you. My thank you Michael Bolton moment is thank you to the U.S. Postal Service. So I wrote this blog and I did a little meme with Harry and Lisa, and I put it on Twitter, and Lisa retweeted it, which was really sweet. Nice. And she put it on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So if you have a thank you Michael Bolton moment that you can trace back and that you're grateful for today, which might not have seemed to be something so grateful for at the time, please tell us in the comments or tell us on social media. Does anything come to mind? You're still so young. Maybe there'll be remember, if there's ever any disappointments, it could turn out to be something good later on.
I mean, I think if I reach back deep, perhaps I can think of one, but to risk dead air, I think I will have to leave my story in the comments below.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
That's really sweet of Lisa.
Yeah,
that's great.
That was so nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hashtag thank you Michael Bolton, and let us know your silver lining.
And did you have a poll out there? Were you taking an opinion poll?
I did a poll to see who everyone's favorite. Last week was so much about the kids, so I wanted to see who everyone's favorite Real Housewives of Beverly Hills kid was, and Gigi Hadid won. But of course, it was a whopping 9 people who voted. It happens.
You get this out more. Okay.
I know.
If you have a poll, we should.
I know. I have to let more people know.
Well, I voted, but
thank you.
The person I voted for did not win. So
who did you vote for?
I think I voted for Kyle's kids.
Oh, they are good kids.
Yeah. I'll say, curious.
Portia. Yeah, little Miss Portia Umansky. She was nipping at the heels of Gigi, but Gigi won. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's everything in news and gossip. Do you have anything to?
No, I don't. I think you covered everything.
Cool. All right, and I guess it's time for predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Would you like to start?
Sure. I predict that the wedding is going to be really nice.
Yes,
I think it's going to be a good moment.
See it.
Yeah, and I hope hope a lot of the Hiltons are there.
Yeah, because you're a Hilton file.
Yeah, exactly. So a few of the commenters last week mentioned this book, House of Hilton, and of course I looked it up, so thank you for the tip. And I checked it out, and I read a few excerpts that were available. Of course, when I was looking at this, it was like the week of, like, you know, Christmas shopping, the Cyber Monday and all that. So I was like, well, it's just too crazy right now for me to order this unauthorized paperback book. I was like, it'll happen. So when I fly home for the holidays, I will read this book. I'm very interested, and it really gives a lot of information, especially about, like they mentioned, marrying up in life. And so Brooke, Kim's daughter, is about to do just that next week, so to tie everything together. So I would love to read this book. It seems so interesting, just about even the Hilton dynasty itself and how it's all set up and how people met whom. I think Paris Hilton's great-grandparents met across from the Hollywood High School.
Amazing.
So all these
and wasn't her uncle
things.
married to Liz Taylor?
Yes.
And another one to
divorced,
Zsa Zsa Gabor. Yeah, so there's a lot. They have a great history. It's really interesting.
And I really want to read that so I can reflect that based on what we're seeing on the Housewives. Because we just see the Richards sisters right there, and of course, you know, Big Kathy is making an appearance. So I'm really hoping that we get to see a really nice wedding with a bunch of Hiltons there. And it'll be interesting to see what goes down in Palm Springs. I predict that it'll be kind of like the light part of the episode. I think that'll be more kind of fun. Because, like Lisa basically said in today's episode, I'm really not going to talk about anybody unless if I get to know them. Right. So I can't picture them, like, sitting around, like, gossiping and talking, you know what, about altogether women. But I know Lisa will try to get it out there, because she always does.
I do recall, seeing in the previews that we do see the wedding, because I noticed little Portia's the flower girl, so I'm excited to see the wedding. That'll be great. And then as far as predictions, you know, I don't know. I'm always bad at this because I want to see. I always predict a good fight, and then it never happens. And then when I don't predict the fight, it happens. So I don't know. It's
hard. The predictions, the next on, like the previews for the following week with Housewives are always a little blurry. You never really know.
Yeah, Andy likes to trick us. Yeah.
But I kind of like that in a way, because then it's like sometimes they just show previews of every single part of a fight, and then you see the fight, you're like, wait, I've seen this over a course of 4 promos. So it's all spoiled, you know? So it keeps us watching and keeps us discussing.
That is true. That is true. So I think that about wraps it up. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at Grants__rants.
Nice. And you can find me on Facebook at Fern Ronay and on Twitter at Fern Ronay. And thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section on YouTube. We love them. Thank you so much.
Good job, Fern.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.